Hey Mike, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
All
How are
right,
you, Greg?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for meeting with me today. So, just want to go over, just talk about your anxiety or whatnot here today in today's session. But first, before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and set the timer just so we don't go over
Sure,
our 15 minutes. Okay?
I
Just give me
understand.
1 second. All right. All right. Cool. So, tell me about your week, Mike. How was your week this week?
Um, I wasn't too awful bad. Um, Mostly just working, and I started a garden.
Okay. Cool. You started gardening.
Yeah,
Okay. So, how have things been going so far with your anxiety?
with my anxiety.
Hmm.
I kind of I've been kind of just avoiding a lot of things that I find cause anxiety. I know that's not something that you wanted me to do.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I had a couple instances where, there were people that I was talking to at work asked me a lot of questions about like relationships in the past,
Hmm.
and I found myself getting really anxious.
Just tell me more about that. What did you feel?
Well, I could feel like my heart rate going up, you know,
Hmm.
kind of like, breathing a little bit faster. I felt like, like that, I don't know, like a knot in the back of my throat, kind of.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Did you feel any other signs or symptoms of anxiety, like sweating, sweaty palms, or anything like that?
I have noticed that at other
Yeah.
times, but
Not this particular
that
time.
didn't happen this time.
Uh-uh. So when you felt that way, what did you do?
I just left the room. I just said, you know what, I don't want to talk about this, and I
Hmm.
just walked away.
So how did that make you feel?
It was, I mean, a little bit like a, I don't know, chicken, I guess. I don't know
Hmm.
how else to describe it, but like, I feel like I'd be doing better if I was facing my fears rather than, kind of like recognizing that I'm starting to feel some kind of way and then leaving the room,
Hmm.
escaping or trying to get away from it.
Okay. Okay. So Mike, let me just tell me some events that kind of leads to your anxiety. What's some triggering events that definitely trigger your anxiety? Is there anything particular or particular event that you ever experienced or experiences that you have that or situations that make your anxiety worsen or
You
make you
mean,
feel it
well,
coming
all
on?
right. So, like, if I feel like somebody's being dishonest with me,
Mhm.
um, that makes me feel really anxious.
Mhm.
Um, uh, when somebody else, kind of like tries to bark orders at me or tell me what to do, you
Mhm.
know, I feel anxious, particularly if it's somebody that doesn't have any authority over me. I find that even more frustrating and anxiety invoking.
Mhm. So, what are some things that you have actually done to cope with your anxiety? Any particular tools you ever used
Mm, mm,
before that
uh,
kind of help you with your anxiety, Mike?
so, like, I've tried, the kind of the same thing you do, like if you're getting angry about something,
Mhm.
uh, just kind of like taking a deep breath, counting to 10.
Inhaling, exhaling,
Yes,
your
yes.
breathing exercises.
Walking away, um, just kind of removing myself from the situation altogether. But like sometimes that's not always like an option.
Right.
Like if I have to be there for whatever reason, work in a healthcare setting, so
Mhm.
I can't just walk away from patients if somebody else in the room is
Mhm.
doing something that makes me feel anxious.
Mhm.
Or, I mean, I hate to blame other people for what I'm feeling, but it's like uh, I just feel kind of like trapped in those situations, and that makes it
Mhm.
worse.
Okay. And what I'm hearing you saying is that, so with your anxiety, do you feel like a sense of loss of control, like you don't have control? Do you feel like that's part of your anxiety?
I think one of the big things for me is like not being able to control how I'm perceived by other people.
Okay. So how other people see you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I understand. So I think it's a good thing. So let me, Mike, I think it's great that you are very aware of your anxiety and the things that you have done so far that have helped so with your anxiety to the most part. I also think it's very good that it's important the importance of knowing those things because by knowing your anxiety and knowing how you feel with your anxiety definitely helps be able to you to be able to feel when it's coming on. So I think the goal with you and I both working together, maybe we can try to come up with some type of tool or something that can kind of like help you with that. So when you feel your anxiety coming on, you have some different things you can, can kind of
Yeah,
work and do.
yeah. I could see how it might be helpful to have a few more tools in the
Yeah,
tool bag.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I feel like you- with you say you don't have control, but or feel like you can't control how others feel, and that's true. You can't control how other people perceive you, but there is some type of control within that. If I'm kind of making any sense.
Yeah, I mean, and, like one of the things I run into pretty frequently is like once I'm already feeling anxious
Mhm.
and people are asking me questions, I get louder and I kind of get like I have difficulty like putting my thoughts into complete ideas to express to others. So
Mhm.
like I'll try like 15 different ways to explain something. Sometimes I find that I'm like over explaining things.
Mhm. Hmm. So last time I had took some notes when we were working together, and I just want to go over what I did take. I want to try to maybe work on something such as like taking like one of those things, like one situation that feel like you don't have control over, and try to work through that process. And just like if it's something wants to happen like right now in this particular setting, and like you said, you work with patients, so you just can't always walk away.
Yeah, I
What?
mean, well, right now I feel pretty safe
Right,
here with you.
understood.
I mean,
Yeah, understood. But I'm just saying, let's say for instance, you're working and you're in a situation where you feel your anxiety coming on. I just want you to take that situation and just think about, because you can't always walk away, as you stated, you can't always walk away from your patients
right,
all the
right,
time,
right.
and just think of where you are and what can you do at that moment with what you already have.
Well, there's the counting to 10 thing and deep breathing, but
Hmm.
I don't know what other tools are there.
No, and I ask that because sometimes when we're in those type of situations, and we don't really have an outlet to completely like walk away from the situation, and so by saying, well, right now I'm at work, so that's where I am now. You're at work, and what can I do? As to what do I have? Well, I'm at work. I can't walk away from my patient. So, as you stated, counting to 10 would be something that would be more
Yeah,
reason
I
for
mean,
you to
oftentimes I
do.
end up just kind of like stuffing it all down and like, you know, not reacting at all
Mm-hmm.
and just like almost like just automatically doing whatever it is that my job is in that situation without really uh, thinking about anything. And then afterwards, I have like find some kind of release or some way to just kind of like blow it off.
So what does that relief look like to feel like to you when you walk away and blow it off? Like what does that relief look like and feel like to you?
Usually, it's like stretching or you know, um, like we said, like I'll just go someplace and be alone, away from other people for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and do some deep breathing.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like in the exact moment, like I can feel the anxiety and not really display what I'm feeling. Just kind of like bottle things up and focus on what I have to do.
Mm-hmm. And when you're bottling that things up and focusing on what you do, how are you feeling inside? Because
Yeah, exasperated,
mm-hmm.
out of control. Like my heart rate's still going crazy, and that's usually when I start like the sweating.
Mm-hmm. The palm sweating of
Right,
your
right.
hand.
So, yeah, I mean, like I can get it done, and it's not just my palms that sweat. Like I'll sweat everywhere. I'll be drenched sometimes because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like I'm just stuffing it down and focusing on what I have to do to get through whatever I'm doing. And I know like sometimes it'll make my stomach really upset,
Mm-hmm.
or Like later, I'll find myself crying,
Mhm. Mhm.
like when I'm away from other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know those are healthy emotions, like crying and it's cleansing and all. But I don't think it's like what goes on in between from the point where I start to experience the anxiety to the point where I'm someplace else getting that release.
Mhm. Okay.
That there's a long period in between, and sometimes, like if I encounter something else that makes me feel anxious before I've had a chance to like decompress,
Mhm.
that's when I start really getting like kind of panicky
Mhm.
and I can't control my breathing.
Mm.
It's not frequent that that happens, but it does.
Right. Right. And when that has happened, and the times it did happen, how did you begin to cope with your breathing to get your breathing back to normal? Did you have to like walk away, or just like go away, go to yourself for an hour, a few minutes or
I
so?
actually found that prayer helps a lot.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay. So praying definitely like kind of helps when you go definitely get deep into your anxiety to the point when you don't have
Right.
no control. Definitely like helps like kind of like calm you down, bring you
Yes.
back down to
Yes.
normalization. Okay.
I just I rely on my faith and my Creator to get through that moment.
Understood. 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 Well, I'm glad that you're able to recognize those things about yourself. That's I think that's a very important thing. And all the time, even though we create these tools and these tools that we're going to create all the time, they may not always work all the time. Sometimes, it depends on the situation or whatnot and where you are. Those particular tools just may not be the tool at that particular timing. And sometimes this is why counting to yourself or walking away. Sometimes is this more reasonable to do, what I mean, versus anything else because it's more like you can kind of tame that, right then and there at that particular given moment, you know. So when did you first? I wanted to ask you. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I wanted to ask you. When did you realize and first notice like your anxiety, like your mood swings? When do you notice that?
Um, so like the I don't know. It's been an an issue for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mean, the really big thing was like being able to identify that that's what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't until I was already in my 30s that I realized that that what I was experiencing was called anxiety,
And what were you
and
experiencing?
I always just covered it up with like anger.
Oh,
So whenever I got anxious, I would just like get angry.
you would act out of in anger.
Yeah, oh
That was
yeah,
your way of coping and dealing
yeah,
with it.
absolutely, yeah. So like now, when I experience anxiety, I'm able to identify that that's what I'm experiencing, that that's what I'm feeling, and that I mean that has been like a huge benefit because, well, okay, I'm anxious. What am I anxious about?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's like, okay, well, let me take a look at the situation I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if I'm feeling really anxious, it's because there's somebody that's in my face,
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody has their issues. So I kind of recognize that like it's either situational or it's something that I'm thinking about in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and that um, uh, like when I recognize that I'm being lied to, I get anxious, and then
Mm-hmm.
like I start to feel angry, and I recognize, oh, hey, wait, all right, why am I getting angry? I know they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't know they're lying. Maybe they
Right.
don't know what they're saying is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they believe that what they're saying is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to consider, that maybe that person has some other concept that is easier for them to believe than what I know is true. And it's not usually like the kind of thing, it's like where I feel like I'm being deceived,
Mm-hmm.
not not like when somebody's just like uh, like if somebody was expressing an urban legend or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, Okay, I know that's not true. That doesn't bother me that this person believes it is. You get what I'm saying?
Understood.
So
Understood.
like when that happens, I'm able to like think to myself like, okay, a lot of people believe that what this person is
Mhm.
saying is true, even though I know that it's not.
Right.
There's no reason for me to feel anxious or to feel
Mhm.
challenged or to be, you know, worried about how they perceive me.
Right. So, once again, I'm glad that we were able to meet today. Um, definitely, I'm glad that you are definitely becoming more and more aware of your anxiety and ways as to how you can identify them, your anxiety, should I say. So, for homework, Mike, I want you to try to just, think a particular situation. Let's say, for instance, you're at a grocery store or something like that, and you feel your anxiety coming around. For homework, I want you to write down these three questions, and it's just where I am now, what can I do with what I have? And with those three things, I want you just to write down, think about a particular situation that you're in, and your anxiety is just like working up, and you're out somewhere where you really don't have a comfort zone to run to, but you
Mm-hmm.
do, and just think of the what can you do at that very moment, right then and there, that can help you get through it. And I know that we talked about deep breathing,
You talking about a
exercise.
written log?
Yeah, just
Like
a
I should
writing right.
carry a
Yeah,
notepad or
and
something?
just a notepad. Yes, and just write down, a particular situation, and just focus on that. Try to focus on more of the things that you can control, versus what you can't control. And then we'll revisit again at our next meeting. That sound okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
I think I could probably pull that off.
Cool. All right, thanks, man. Thanks for
All right.
meeting with me. I
Thanks a
greatly
lot, Greg.
appreciate it. All right, talk to you later.